Room 222 once showed a world of hope, learning, and second chances. But in real life, not every story had a happy ending. Some rose to incredible success, while others faced tragedies that ended in heartbreaking deaths. And when you see how they look today, you won't believe they're the same people. Lloyd Haynes as Pete Dixon. Samuel Lloyd Haynes was born on October 19, 1934 in South Bend, Indiana. At 35 years old, he played Pete Dixon, the compassionate and principled high school history teacher in Room 222. His performance gave the series a strong moral center, turning his character into a symbol of quiet intelligence and dignity. As his career began to rise, his personal life slowly started to fracture. In 1970, after 11 years of marriage, he divorced his first wife, Elizabeth Haynes, at a time when success should have brought stability. Instead, it marked the beginning of a pattern, as he soon married Sandra Burge the same year, only for that relationship to collapse by 1973. These back-to-back divorces hinted at the emotional strain behind his composed image. Years later, Lloyd seemed to find peace when he married Carolyn Inglis in 1981, and together they welcomed a daughter, Jessica Haynes. But just as life appeared to settle, everything changed with a devastating diagnosis of lung cancer. Even as the illness progressed, he continued working tirelessly, commuting between Coronado and Hollywood to film General Hospital, refusing to step away from the career that had defined him. That determination, however, came at a cost, as his health rapidly declined while he held on to both his work and his family. Lloyd Haynes passed away on December 31, 1986, at the age of 52 in Coronado, California, due to lung cancer. He was buried at Eternal Hills Memorial Park in Oceanside, with a small and private funeral attended by close colleagues, including Denise Nicholas. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $1.5 million, but his lasting legacy carried both the weight of representation and the burden of personal loss. Denise Nicholas as Liz McIntyre. Denise Nicholas was born on July 12, 1944, in Detroit, Michigan. At 25 years old, she played Liz McIntyre, the intelligent and empathetic guidance counselor in Room 222. Her performance brought emotional balance and quiet strength to the series, making her character a stabilizing force in a world filled with social tension. Despite that composed presence on screen, her personal life unfolded very differently. Denise first married playwright Gilbert Moses in 1964, but the marriage ended in 1967 as her career and activism began pulling her in different directions. She later married singer Bill Withers in 1973, a relationship that had already been volatile before their wedding, and it quickly turned darker when an incident of physical violence was reported during a confrontation in Arizona. Although she chose not to press charges, the emotional damage lingered, and by 1974 the marriage had ended, leaving her once again searching for stability. Soon after, she met sportscaster Jim Hill, and the two married in 1981, but even this relationship struggled under emotional pressure, leading to separation, reconciliation, and ultimately divorce in 1987. However, nothing compared to the tragedy that struck in 1980, when her younger sister Michelle Nicholas was murdered, her body discovered under mysterious circumstances with no one ever brought to justice. That loss changed everything. Denise and her brother Otto searched desperately for answers, but the silence that followed left her in deep grief and depression, forcing her to step back and rebuild her life in a quieter, more introspective way. As of 2026, Denise Nicholas is 82 years old and lives a private life focused on writing and reflection. With an estimated net worth of around $3 million, she survived broken marriages, violence, and an unsolved family tragedy, carrying her pain with a quiet strength that few ever truly see. Michael Constantine as Principal Seymour Kaufman. Michael Constantine was born on May 22, 1927, in Reading, Pennsylvania. At 42 years old, he played Seymour Kaufman, the disciplined yet deeply human high school principal in room 222. His performance gave the series structure and emotional balance, making his character a steady force within the story. Despite that authority on screen, his journey behind the scenes was far more complicated. Constantine spent years being overlooked or limited to stereotypical roles, forcing him to work harder than most just to be taken seriously. In 1953, he married actress Juliana McCarthy, and together they built a life while he struggled through the early stages of his career. But as recognition finally arrived decades later, their marriage quietly fell apart, ending in divorce in 1972, the same period his success reached a peak, suggesting that the cost of that long-awaited breakthrough was not just professional, but deeply personal. Trying to rebuild, he married Kathleen Christopher in 1974, hoping stability would follow, yet that relationship also ended in divorce by 1980. These repeated losses left him carrying a quiet sense of isolation, even as audiences later embraced him as a warm and lovable father figure. The contrast was striking, was shaped by years of delayed success and emotional disconnection that he rarely spoke about publicly. Michael Constantine passed away on August 31, 2021, at the age of 94 from natural causes at his home in Reading, Pennsylvania. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, he left behind more than a career. He left the story of a man who endured decades of struggle, found success late, and carried both pride and loneliness to the very end. Karen Valentine as Alice Johnson. Karen Valentine was born on May 25, 1947, in Sebastopol, California. At 22 years old, she played Alice Johnson, the warm and optimistic student teacher in room 222. Her performance brought lightness and charm to the series, making her one of the most beloved and relatable characters on the show. At first, her success seemed effortless, as audiences instantly connected with her bright personality and natural screen presence. In 1969, she married Mac McLaughlin, stepping into both a new chapter in her personal life and a rapidly rising career. However, as the years passed, the pressure of being closely tied to a single iconic role began to limit her opportunities. While the public continued to adore Alice Johnson, Karen found herself struggling to be seen as anything beyond that image, and this growing frustration slowly affected her personal life, contributing to the breakdown of her marriage, which ended in divorce in 1973. In 1977, she married musician Gary Verna, and this time, the relationship brought a sense of stability that had been missing before. Even so, her professional path remained uncertain, as her film career never fully matched her television success. Rather than fading away, she adapted, turning to theater and live performances as a way to stay connected to her passion. That shift was not just a career move, it was a quiet reinvention. As of 2026, Karen Valentine is 79 years old and continues to live a private but steady life, occasionally returning to the stage and public appearances. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, she represents a different kind of the ability to quietly endure when the spotlight begins to fade. Heshimu Cumbuka as Jason Allen. Heshimu Cumbuka was born on February 18, 1941, in Los Angeles, California. At 27 years old, he played Jason Allen, the outspoken and socially aware student in room 222. His role gave the series a sharper edge, as his character often voiced strong opinions that reflected the real social tensions of late 1960s America. At the time, room 222 ran for 5 seasons from 1969 to 1974, and was praised for addressing racial and cultural issues, which made Jason Allen's presence especially important. However, despite being part of such a groundbreaking show, Heshimu's career trajectory did not follow the same upward path. Over the span of several decades, he accumulated fewer than 30 on-screen credits, appearing in projects like Roots and films such as They Call Me Bruce, 1982, yet never securing a consistent leading role that could elevate his visibility. This limitation was not simply a matter of opportunity, but a reflection of the broader industry landscape at the time. Black actors in the 1970s and 1980s were often restricted to secondary or stereotypical roles, and Heshimu repeatedly found himself competing for parts that offered little depth. Even as he continued working through the late 1970s and early 1980s, the frequency of his appearances declined, and by the end of that decade, his presence in major productions had significantly diminished. As his career slowed, so did public attention. Unlike some of his co-stars who transitioned into long-term fame or reinvented themselves in other areas, Heshimu lived a quieter life away from the spotlight. His story became one of persistence without recognition, highlighting how even actors who were part of culturally important shows could still struggle to sustain their careers in an uneven system. Heshimu Cumbuka passed away on July 4, 2013, at the age of 71. His death received minimal media coverage, a stark contrast to the significance of the era he once represented. With an estimated net worth of under $500,000, his life stands as a quiet reminder of how the industry's limitations shaped not only careers, but legacies. David Jolliffe as Bernie. David Jolliffe was born on November 19, 1952, in Los Angeles, California. At 17 years old, he played Bernie, the student known for his distinctive red afro in Room 222. His character added youthful energy and visual identity to the series, making him instantly recognizable among the younger cast. Before joining the show, David had already begun building his career, making his professional debut at just 10 years old in a national commercial for Kraft marshmallows. However, like many young actors, the transition from teenage roles to adult careers proved challenging. While he continued appearing in television guest roles, his visibility began to decline, and the steady momentum he had as a teen actor became harder to maintain. His personal life also reflected this period of transition. His first marriage to Patty Friedman, which began in 1982, eventually ended in divorce, coinciding with a time when his acting career was shifting direction. Rather than continuing to pursue on-screen roles with diminishing returns, David made a strategic move into commercial and voiceover work, which ultimately redefining his career. By the 1980s and beyond, he had appeared in over 100 television commercials, establishing himself as a reliable and in-demand performer in advertising. He later expanded into voice acting, contributing to more than 1,000 television episodes as an ADR looper and voiceover artist. In addition, his involvement in the Screen Actors Guild grew significantly, as he was elected to both SAG and AFTRA national boards, and later served as SAG national vice president, actively participating in shaping industry policies. As of 2026, David Jolliffe is 74 years old and continues to work in voice acting and industry leadership. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, his career reflects a successful reinvention, moving from a recognizable teen actor to a powerful voice behind the scenes, proving that longevity in Hollywood often comes from adapting rather than staying the same. Judy Strangis as Helen Loomis. Judy Strangis was born on December 23, 1949, in Los Angeles County, California. At 20 years old, she played Helen Loomis, the cheerful and relatable high school student in Room 222. Her role helped humanize the student perspective, making the series feel more grounded and authentic. What made her story intriguing was how early it all began. Judy entered the industry at just 7 years old with her debut in Dragoon Wells Massacre, 1957, and over the next 27 years, she built a steady resume with dozens of appearances across television. She appeared in well-known shows such as The Twilight Zone, Bewitched, and Chips, while also maintaining a consistent presence throughout the early 1970s. On paper, the numbers were impressive, but something crucial was missing: breakthrough transformation. The turning point came when she tried to redefine her image. In 1976, she took on the role of Dyna Girl in Electra Woman and Dyna Girl, a bold shift into a superhero persona that gained a cult following. At the same time, she expanded into voice acting, contributing to animated series like The Roman Holidays, 1972, Butch Cassidy, 1973, and Saturday Supercade. She even became a national commercial figure, promoting Chrysler vehicles between 1974 to 1975, and later representing Mattel's Barbie line. Behind the scenes, her personal life took a quieter turn. In 1987, she married Jason Scher and gradually stepped away from the spotlight, choosing stability over the unpredictability of Hollywood. Unlike many who chased fame at all costs, Judy made a conscious decision to leave at a time when her career was still active, creating a sense of quiet mystery around her departure. As of 2026, Judy Strangis is 76 years old and lives a private life away from the entertainment industry. With an estimated net worth of around $1.5 million, her story carries a subtle irony. An actress who worked consistently for nearly 3 decades, yet never fully escaped the image that first defined her. Eric Laneuville as Larry. Eric Laneuville was born on July 14, 1952, in New Orleans, Louisiana. At 17 years old, he played Larry, a troubled and emotionally complex student in room 222. His role brought a raw intensity to the series, highlighting the struggles faced by young people during a time of social change. From the beginning, Eric's career moved quickly. As a teenager, he appeared in The Omega Man, 1971, alongside Charlton Heston, and between 1970 and 1973, he became a recurring presence on Room 222. He continued building his resume with roles in films like Death Wish, 1974, and A Force of One, 1979. Yet despite these credits, there was an underlying limitation. He was often cast in supporting or troubled youth roles, reflecting a broader industry pattern that restricted opportunities for young black actors during that era. Instead of accepting those limits, Eric made a bold and unexpected move. In 1984, he stepped behind the camera, beginning a directing career that would ultimately redefine his legacy. The transition was not smooth. He faced skepticism about his leadership, especially being both young and African American in a field dominated by older, established directors. But he persisted, gradually earning trust and proving his capability through consistent work. What followed was a remarkable transformation. Eric went on to direct episodes of major television series including L.A. Law, ER, Lost, The Mentalist, and NCIS Los Angeles. In 1992, he won an Emmy Award for directing I'll Fly Away, marking a turning point that validated his shift behind the scenes. Even more notably, in 1988, he became the first African-American television director to film in Russia, breaking barriers that extended far beyond his own career. As of 2026, Eric Laneuville is 73 years old and continues to work as a respected director and producer. With an estimated net worth of around $4 million, his journey stands as a powerful contrast. While many actors struggle to sustain their careers, he rebuilt his from the ground up, turning early limitations into a legacy defined by influence, leadership, and lasting impact. Robert Casper as Jerry Gerard. Robert Casper was born on June 3, 1925, in the United States. At 45 years old, he played Jerry Gerard, a strict school administrator and authority figure in room 222. His role reinforced discipline and structure within the school, helping anchor the series' educational setting. Throughout the 1970s, Robert appeared in several television productions, including Little House on the Prairie, where he often portrayed father figures and community leaders, and Emergency, 1972, where he took on supporting authority roles. Across this period, he built a resume of dozens of guest appearances, typically cast as principals, officials, or heads of households. These roles required consistency and credibility, which allowed him to remain active across multiple series, even without securing a long-running lead part. In addition to television, he also appeared in smaller roles in series like Marcus Welby, MD and the Streets of San Francisco, both of which were among the most-watched shows of the 1970s. These appearances demonstrate how his career was tied to mainstream network television, where actors were often hired episode by episode. The structure of this system meant that even experienced actors like Robert had to continually secure new roles, as there were no guarantees of long-term contracts or recurring income. Robert Casper passed away in 2020 at the age of 95. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his career is supported by measurable contributions across long-running series like Little House on the Prairie and Emergency, reflecting a lifetime of steady work in American television. Ty Henderson as Cleon. Ty Henderson was born on December 6, 1953, in the United States. At around 20 years old, he played Cleon, a teenage student in Room 222. His role added to the student group dynamic, representing everyday high school life within the series. During the 1970s, Ty appeared in several television programs including Emergency, 1972, and Mork and Mindy, 1978, both of which were popular network shows with large audiences. He also took part in the film The Competition, 1980, marking one of his few appearances in a feature-length production. In total, his known credits remained limited, with only a handful of roles recorded across television and film, indicating a short period of industry activity. His work in Mork and Mindy and Emergency placed him within two widely viewed series of the era, but these were single-episode or minor roles rather than recurring parts. Without extended contracts or character continuity, his exposure remained brief, and his career did not expand into larger or more consistent opportunities. This limited number of appearances explains why his name appears in only a small set of production credits compared to actors with long-running roles. Ty Henderson passed away on August 3, 2018 in Los Angeles, California at the age of 64 due to a heart attack. His career, supported by appearances in Emergency, Mork and Mindy, and The Competition, reflects a short but traceable presence in 1970s television, with limited roles shaping both his visibility and long-term recognition. John Shutan as Bonnie. John Shutan was born on November 5, 1932, in Los Angeles, California. At 37 years old, she played Bonnie, a mature female staff member connected to the school environment in Room 222. Her role added an adult female perspective to the series, helping balance the interactions between students and faculty. Before joining Room 222, 1969 to 1970, Jan had already built a solid television career, appearing in multiple well-known series such as Ben Casey, 1963 to 1966, and The Andy Griffith Show, 1965. She also took on a notable role as Lieutenant Mira Romaine in Star Trek, the original series, 1969, which remains one of her most recognized performances. In addition to acting, she worked extensively in advertising, appearing in more than 20 commercials per year at her peak, earning up to $10,000 per commercial, an unusually high rate for television performers at the time. During the 1970s, she continued expanding her career with roles in Sons and Daughters, 1974, and films such as The 7 Minutes, 1971, and Message to My Daughter, 1973. However, balancing a demanding acting schedule with family life became increasingly difficult, especially during a period when female performers were often expected to prioritize domestic responsibilities. As her workload remained high, the pressure to maintain both career and family stability gradually led to a slowdown in her acting activity toward the late 1980s. In 1980, she married Emmy-winning writer-producer David Levinson, whom she met while working on Sons and Daughters. The marriage brought long-term stability, lasting nearly 4 decades until his passing in 2019. By 1988, after approximately 25 years in the industry, Jan officially retired from acting, closing a career that included dozens of television appearances and film roles. John Shutan passed away on October 7, 2021, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 88. With an estimated net worth accumulated through television work, commercials, and film appearances, she left behind a career supported by concrete achievements across series like Star Trek, Ben Casey, and Room 222, marking her as a consistent presence in American television during its most formative decades. Ed Begley Jr. as Bob. Ed Begley Jr. was born on September 16, 1949, in Los Angeles, California. At 20 years old, he played Bob, a young male student in Room 222. His role contributed to the student body dynamic, representing everyday youth experiences within the series. Following his early television appearances, Ed built an extensive acting career that included hundreds of roles across film and television. His most significant breakthrough came with St. Elsewhere, 1982 to 1988, where he played Dr. Victor Ehrlich for 6 seasons, earning 6 consecutive Primetime Emmy nominations. He also appeared in major films such as An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, This Is Spinal Tap, 1984, and Batman Forever, 1995, demonstrating a career that spanned both television and cinema with measurable longevity. However, his personal life presented serious challenges alongside his professional success. In the 1970s, Ed struggled with alcohol addiction, a period he later acknowledged as a turning point in his life. In 1972, he survived a violent attack that resulted in a collapsed lung, a life-threatening incident that forced him to reevaluate his direction. His first marriage to Ingrid Taylor, which lasted from 1976 to 1989, ended in divorce, adding further emotional strain during a time when he was already confronting personal and professional pressures. In 2000, he married actress Rochelle Carson, and together, they later co-hosted the environmental reality series Living with Ed, 2007 to 2010. In 2016, he publicly revealed that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a condition he has continued to manage while remaining active in television, including roles in Better Call Saul, 2016 to 2022, and Young Sheldon, 2019 to 2024. His ability to continue working despite illness reflects a sustained level of professional commitment across decades. As of 2026, Ed Begley Jr. is 76 years old and remains active as both an actor and environmental advocate. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, supported by decades of work in productions like St. Elsewhere, Better Call Saul, and Living with Ed, his career stands as a documented example of longevity, marked by both personal recovery and continued professional output. After more than 5 decades, the cast of Room 222 have taken very different paths. Some built lasting careers, some quietly stepped away, and others left us with stories that still resonate today. From Emmy winners to forgotten names, their journeys reveal how much can change beyond the screen since 1969. Which story surprised you the most, and who do you think changed the most over time? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more then and now stories just like this.